Hello again, everybody. Previously showing you from episode 2 where we left off. We will get in today with what we did with these panels and show you what they turned out to look like and much more. Let's get started though. After many coats of paint, the front shock covers, they look great. Did quite a bit of sanding and put about 4 or 5 coats of paint on them, and they look like brand new. They'll definitely match the side panels now with the nice gloss paint that's on them. Alright, I just finished installing them. One bolt holds each one of them on and against this rim that's got this fresh silver paint along with the brake hub. They look great. And nice new rubber on the front. Just brings the whole front end together and looks so much nicer than what it did before. Ready to go. This particular panel, I've already removed the old decal. It's not in the same shape as the other side. It's definitely in better shape, but there's still a lot of improvement that could be had for it. So we'll go through and do this one exactly the same as the other using the 2X paint that I have, which should bond well and give a nice finish to this old panel. I put a nice coat of that 2X paint on and just got done using some 800 grit sandpaper, and there's still some scratches that are coming through. I'll do a little bit more wet sanding and then add another coat, see how it looks, and continue that process until I get the desired effect I want. Just got done wet sanding after another coat with some 1500 grit sandpaper, and this panel's looking good. This one, on the other hand, we got even more work to do. This one has a nice chunk missing out of it that we'll have to take care of. Heavily scratched. And you can see here I filled in that chunk that was missing with some of this plastic weld by JB Weld, and it seems to be, holding up well. I'm going to have to definitely sand it down in order to get it flat, but after some paint and some sanding, I think it'll be fine. It seems to be pretty strong anyways. So we'll start sanding this down and go from there. After using some 200 grit and then up to 400 grit, it did a really nice job of flattening out that JB Weld I added. You can see it's pretty flat, and I think after we add some paint, it'll look like it was never damaged. I do have a couple decals that are starting to peel. I was thinking about saving them, but nah, I'll just get rid of them. I'll continue sanding this down and we'll get some paint on it. The top and bottom decal are now removed, and I sanded where they used to be to get all the old adhesive off. Maybe somewhere down the line I'll find some replacements, but they just weren't in the shape that I wanted, so we'll move on. After adding a coat of paint and then wet sanding, not much left is there of that original gash. I think after another coat or two of this paint, it'll all be gone. And everything else is looking really well on the panel, so I think it's going to be good to go. Getting close anyways. Switching gears here, in my previous video I mentioned to you I had marked the Variator to see how high the belt was rising, and it's definitely higher than it was with the original Variator. So I'm about to replace the belt. I've got a brand new belt, and hopefully it'll allow it to ride even higher. The old Bando belt has been removed, and the wider new Sim Bando belt's been installed. And I'm hoping that we get a little more performance since this belt is a little wider than the old belt. Hopefully it'll ride a little higher on that Variator and give us a little bit more speed. When you're putting your parts list together of all the things that you're going to need, the one part I've replaced on every one of my old bikes, and it's a given, so put it at the top of the list, it's the Petcock. The Petcock is just a mechanical type design. It does not last after 30 years. I guarantee you you're going to have to replace it. So just put it on your list and order one and save yourself some headaches. There are 4 bolts that hold the gas tank on. Just showing you the new filter, and it goes right inside like that. And there's a black O-ring with it, and all you have to do is screw the new Petcock on. Make sure it's nice and tight, and you can see when you look in the gas tank now, you can see the filter, and that should be great for making sure that nothing makes it to the engine from the gas tank and protects it. Showing you from the parts fiche what the Petcock should look like that's on your SE50. You can see how the vacuum is pointed down. The new one that I just replaced, you can see how the vacuum is parallel with the gas line. So when you look at your old one that's on your bike, this particular model uses a Petcock that the vacuum is pointed down. That's how you're going to know that it's the original one compared to one that is an aftermarket. A lot of the Honda scooters have one like that, where it's in parallel. Just this particular model uses one like what I have here in my hand. So just wanted to give you a little bit of insight. Also wanted to point out that I replaced both the tubes for the vacuum and the gas. As you can see in my hand, I have the original carburetor, and unfortunately I had to replace it. This is a very similar situation I had on the bike I call Charlotte, which is the Elite 50S. The same things. The float bowl wasn't working right, leaking, needed a gasket set, needed a new float set, needed a new pin. And you know what? I decided on that bike to not replace it and just use a Chinese carb. It's just too expensive to do that rebuild kit. And it just didn't make any sense on the old bike. So I figured, why even bother on a new bike? Just buy a replacement carb. So I did. I put the new carb on, and it works fine. I have absolutely no problems. The carb and the Petcock are the same ones that I have on the other bike. And the other bike ran fine, so I figured this one should too. And it seems to idle fine with the new parts, and we're just going to go with those Chinese parts, I guess. And switching gears back to the painting. This panel was a disgrace when we started. Only one blemish is left from all the problems that we had to deal with. Once I take care of that, it'll look like a brand new panel. It might even look better than new. Black paint is incredibly hard to work with, so if you decide to use black, take your time. Just a little bit left of some wet sanding, and then once I'm done doing this, I don't think we're going to have any other problems that are going to come through. I think I've addressed all the different places on here that had spots or scratches, and we should be in good shape. Giving the panel a quick buff job here, and we should be all set. I'll wipe it down and we'll take a look. Both panels look pretty nice. About as good a job as I can do anyway. I'm not a professional painter. But you can see my Elite decals that I purchased. And they're actually the same decal. It's a reproduction of the original. It's got the lavender Honda. And it looks exactly the same as the one I took off the bike. So when I go to install these, I'm just being real careful with them. They seem to be a really good quality. I used the same decals on my Elite 50S, and it held up fine. It rained on them. Went through a whole summer with the sun beating on them, and no issues whatsoever. So I think these are a fine addition, and I don't see any problem with using them. Oh, got a little dust spot on there. And you just wipe that off real fast. And it looks great. Look like two brand new panels. Surprise, surprise, a couple different colors of lavender and purple. And I have Barney. So far I went ahead and I wet sanded and the top coat, and I purchased this foliage, leaves, whatever you want to call it, to use it as a template, a starting point. And didn't really know which direction I was going to go with this, to be completely honest. I knew I just wanted to do something different. So I purchased these two different color Krylon paints, and adding in the touch-up silver along with the black, I started spraying it down. And I kind of liked the way that the lines were produced, but not as much the leaves. So I played around with this for a while until I got the effect that I wanted, back and forth with tons of different colors, trying to make up my mind. And here's what I finally came up with. All four colors that I had showed you. I did this pattern on the front, and I really like the way it came out. Super excited once I put the decal on, put the back panels, put everything back on the bike. I think it came out beautiful. You know, it's not stock, but if I ever wanted to paint that and put it all back to stock, I could if I wanted, but I just wanted to do something different. The back panels, it's kind of the polar opposite of the other bike I have, Charlotte, where the back panels on that bike, they were done with a dipped type treatment, and I left the front black. This one's just the opposite, where I've got the back panels black, but the front's got a treatment done to it. And in reality, if I wanted to swap the panels around and make one full black, I guess I could, and make one just a crazy design. But it looks really nice. I really like the way that the colors, that silver just pops. And was just excited once I put it all back together again, got the engine going, and it looks pretty much like a new bike. It's got a couple, blemishes here and there, but overall, it looks so much better than when we started. All right, let's take a look here at the display. 1,796 miles. And fuel works, high and low signals, everything works on the bike. I'll go ahead and start it for you just so you can hear it run. And this video is complete. And we had all three videos showing the progress of this bike, and I think overall it came out beautifully, and I hope you think so too. If you like my videos, please subscribe, give me a thumbs up if you like this video, and I will see you soon with a new project.